Hey guys, Paul here. So today we're going to be delving into something that's a kind of complicated topic, or at least one that will probably get some pushback in the comments because not a lot of people are going to want to hear it. But that's what we're here for here on Team APS Plus. I got to bring you guys the controversy. We're going to be talking a little bit about Mystic Mine and similar cards, and the way that Konami handles them and the way that players react to that. So, uh, as you guys know, the recent ban list did not ban Mystic Mine. It didn't even limit Mystic Mine. And this is a card that a lot of people were saying really needs to be hit. If you kind of peruse the internet, you'll see plenty of people complaining about this card. There are memes. There are, very serious, teardowns and critiques of this card and all the problems that it causes, bringing the game to a standstill, just being unfun in general, making like time happen a lot more often, sometimes even being a bit of a ruling nightmare. Yeah, I I want to make it clear out of the gate. I do not like Mystic Mine very much personally. It's robbed me of a few games myself, even in some pretty high stakes situations. However, the card is at 3, and I think that at this point, Konami has basically told us indirectly that they don't see this card as a problem. It's had years to, get banned at some point or another, and while it is in the OCG, it's not here. So Konami's TCG R&D department does not seem like they consider Mystic Mine to be a problematic card, and you would think that, with these past few months of like complaints and just the kind of general temperature around this card rising to more than a boiling point, that would be like, finally the thing that we need, the catalyst to get this card banned. But it's not banned. So what does that mean? It means that Konami does not see it as a problem, and they're probably trying to tell players to adapt, deal with it. Might be a more harsh way to put it. And that, complaining about it at this point in time isn't going to really change anything. It's not that your complaints are falling on deaf ears. I think Konami is aware that players do not like the card. I don't think that they think that is a strong enough reason, though, or a convincing enough reason to ban it. And that's where the hard truths come in this video. Something that happens a lot in this community with many, many, many things around, card prices, printings, rulings, design, all that stuff, the way tournament and stuff are run, is that people will oftentimes say Konami hates its players or they don't listen to the players or whatever. I can say with certainty that they definitely are aware that things are like the way they are. They're aware of what players are thinking and what players are kind of saying. But there's this thing in life that happens a lot. This is not like a Yu-Gi-Oh exclusive sort of phenomenon where people have a tendency to mistake not listening with not doing what they want. So, people think, well, okay, Konami didn't ban Mystic Mine, so they must not ever listen to the players. But I think it's not they don't listen to the players. They did listen and they did consider it, and the decision that they came to is simply that they still would keep it around. To give it a more practical example, let's say that there are like 3 different shoes that you are considering buying, and I tell you, well, you should buy the green pair, and you could also buy the red pair or the blue pair, and you decide to go with the blue pair. It's not that you didn't listen to me. It's just that you went with the blue one instead. Maybe because you like the color more than the green. Maybe it was even a close decision, but you just decided to go with that color. Or maybe the red. Or, maybe I said buy the green pair, your other friend said buy the red pair, and you just went with the blue pair because that's the one that you want. So, what I mean by this is just that, like, cards like Mystic Mine, and there are others, I think Artifact Scythe could technically fall in the same category, where players will think that they've got it all figured out, like this is, this card is unhealthy and the game does not need it. But we aren't the ones who are, kind of pulling the strings, and we maybe don't see as much data or information as Konami does. Now, before you go leaving your comments and you're angry and you're all like, well, this is what the players want, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Just remember that is this really as pertinent even as we have kind of made it out to be? Like for instance, are people still buying Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Yeah, they still are. Are you still watching Yu-Gi-Oh content? Yeah, you still probably are. Are people still going to tournaments? Are people still playing in YCS events? Yeah, they are. Now, maybe in an isolated sense, perhaps you've been taking a break from the format because you don't like Mystic Mine or whatever. And that's fine. I always encourage people to, like step away from the game if it's causing you stress or if it's like kind of upsetting you and, or you're not happy with the format. By all means, step away. But I think that the vast majority of people are actually coping a-okay. Um, and Konami kind of knows that. So that's one of those things where it's like tricky, but yeah. So to move on a little bit from this, I think that this is also Konami's way of saying you can't just complain about Mystic Mine. You simply have to accept the fact that it's here. And that means running the cards and the outs or whatever that you just did not want to run before. Everyone says, like, oh, just draw the out, bro. Just run Cosmic Cyclone in your deck. And people's counter argument might be, oh, well, but Mystic Mine is searchable, and I can't search my Cosmic Cyclone. Okay, so you know what that means? Run more Spell and Trap removal. Yeah, but that dilutes my combos. Yeah, it does. Yeah, but I don't want to. Yeah, but that means you might lose. It's kind of one of these things where it's like a tough love sort of deal, right? Mystic Mine is a problem, and we're all acknowledging that it is like, an annoying card to deal with, but what do you do with problems? You gotta have a solution to them. You have to find something that you can run that outs it. It's a lot of the reason why people run, Dark Ruler No More, Forbidden Droplets. It outs those really big boards of monsters full of negates and that can't be like affected by like things or whatever. And it's kind of the same thing with, like the trap decks, right? Run your Lightning Storms, your Evenly Matches, your Harpy's Feather Duster, so you can deal with, Eldritch or deal with Altergeists or, Floowandereeze even. And I think Mystic Mine in that way falls in the same territory. People are going to have to start running spell and trap removal at higher numbers if they want to deal with Mystic Mine, or find some other counterplay to it, because if you don't, then it means that you're going to lose to Mystic Mine in tournaments. And yeah, you can lose to it and complain on Twitter and complain on Facebook and be mad and be upset and say it's Konami's fault. But the truth is that I think that the best players at this game, the players who are, consistently, topping at regionals and YCS events, are well aware of all these things and they're just simply accounting for it in their deck building strategy, which is kind of what Yu-Gi-Oh comes down to at the end of the day. You know what the threats are and you build the best things that you can to counter them. Like, I'm not saying that I like Mystic Mine. I clearly do not like the card. I really wish it was banned. But the reality is that if I was going to a tournament this weekend, I would just have to plan for it. If I think it's enough of a threat that it could like ruin my deck and like ruin my day, then that means I gotta have something. And I would even say look deep into your deck and find, are there any main deck outs that your deck has? I know like with the Adventure Engine, Dracoback is a really great way of outing Mystic Mine. And there are several other decks that have ways of doing that. One that I found out recently with my Rika deck is that I can actually clear my field using Rika Glamour. So even if I have a monster in the field, I could use like a Rika Glamour and like tribute cards, and like tribute monsters off to clear my field and then get rid of Mystic Mine in the end phase. There are little things like that, and you have to be willing to look into them and find them for yourself, or just sort of shift your deck strategy around dealing with this card because it's here to stay, or at least for the next few months, as Konami so kindly puts it on their ban list page. So, remember this when you're just kind of complaining about cards in general. They might be annoying, you might hate them, and you might feel like the whole player base hates them, but the truth is, most people are honestly fine. There are a lot of casual players who don't care about Mystic Mine being here or there or whatever, and people are still buying packs and going to tournaments and all that. So, if you don't want to lose to Mystic Mine, then you better find something you can do to deal with it. That's what I'm going to be doing. If I go into a tournament now, I'll just have to main deck the outs, hope I draw them, see what I can do about it. All right, leave your very angry, contentious comments below. I know that people are gonna be like, but this, but you can say all this stuff, but it is still at 3. So you maybe if if you think you've got like a good reason why it should be banned, I'm not saying I disagree with you. Or if you have a reason why it's like some complaint about it, I'm not saying that the complaint is wrong. I'm saying that the card exists. All right, it's gonna be it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Fast turn.